pleasure to have you with us.
Good afternoon.
Welcome to 60 Days, 60 Voices. Maybe I'll start with a quick introduction about you, and then we'll leave the floor open for you to talk to our audience about the work you're doing at EssilorLuxottica. So Jayanth is a very distinguished senior professional. He's the Chief Mission Officer of EssilorLuxottica. He's been with the company for 22 years, and he's currently driving the mission of Essilor to be essentially see more, be more, and live life to its fullest. Right? So it's a very, very noble mission, and he's very passionate about essentially ensuring sustainable access to vision for about 2.7 billion people who can't see, out of which about 90% of those live in the developing world. Right? So obviously, it has significant impact on quality of life, on economics as well. So Jayanth has been driving this for a length of time, and it's a pleasure to have you here with us, Jayanth. So maybe I'd like you to share with our audience a brief overview of the work you're doing at Essilor in this mission of enabling vision for all.
So thank you very much, Srinivas, for that introduction, and thank you for offering me this opportunity to speak to all of you and to all your audience. So thank you. Yeah, like you said, so we work in the eye care space, and just to give you a brief context of the challenge in the eye care space, out of 7.5 billion people who live in the world, about 4.5 billion of them need some form of visual correction. When you talk about visual correction, it's eyeglasses, refractive error problems. And out of the 4.5 billion people today in the world, roughly give or take 1.8 to 2 billion are corrected, who have the privilege of getting eyeglasses. And there are a huge 2.5 to 2.7 billion people who have uncorrected poor vision due to refractive error. Now, in our world, in the big cities, this is a simple problem which can be solved by just going and getting eyes tested at an optical shop and buying the glasses at the prices that you can afford. But it's very easier said than done in the villages and in the developing countries. So, like you said, more than 80% of the problem of 2.7 billion people lies in the developing countries. And I'd probably like to focus a little bit on India at this point because it has a large chunk of people with refractive errors in the villages. And so we have been, as a responsible organization, trying to find sustainable business solutions to solve this problem. Because you have to understand that when you talk about eyeglasses, it's not an off-the-counter product. It requires a certain amount of intervention in terms of measuring the refractive error. And it also needs an access point from where people can go and buy these glasses or get these glasses, and also have frequently get their eyes tested. So you can't drop a pair of eyeglasses in the middle of the village and go away and think that the problem is solved. It's not like in a way, it's not like a medicine which can be one shot given and cured. It needs something which needs sustainable access in times to come. So, so what we have been looking at is trying to see how we can create sustainable access through business solutions to create long-term impact. And we as a company, with the support of our board and our shareholders, have a vision to eliminate poor vision from the world by 2050. And we have a roadmap towards that, which obviously we can't do it alone. We are engaging a lot of stakeholders and a lot of other partners to work with us and walk the whole journey with us to eliminate poor vision from the world. And I think like the world has got rid of polio, smallpox, malaria, trachoma, etc., refractive error also will be a thing of the past. In a generation, we should be able to solve this problem. So that's really a little bit the kind of context in which we are operating.
Thank you, Jayanth. Very, very noble mission. So I heard a lot about the work you're doing with small entrepreneurs, right? How do you create entrepreneurs specifically for eye care, right? Could you talk us through a little bit about that?
Yeah, so it actually was a problem which turned into an opportunity. So this started more than 10 years back. So you see, when I told you that, when you have a refractive error problem, you need somebody to measure it, somebody to do a simple eye examination or eye test. It's not invasive, but it's a simple test which needs to be done. So one of the problems we have all over the world and also in India is the lack of trained refractionists or optometrists who can do this. And they're not there in the small towns and villages. So when you don't have refractionists, when you don't have optometrists, and when you don't have shops, obviously people can't get access to eye care. So it's kind of a chicken and egg syndrome. So people suffer with bad vision for a long time. And obviously the solution is to create optometrists and ophthalmologists, but that's not going to happen in a lifetime. It'll take a long time. So we said we can't leave this generation behind because there was lack of trained manpower. This was one side of the problem. The other side was actually, we have in India a lot of young people who are either unemployed or underemployed and who are looking for jobs or enterprises. And some of them end up crowding the cities, creating more stress on the system, whereas they could stay back and earn much better living if they stayed in their own villages. So this is another problem which you can very well relate to in a country like India. And the third thing is that, in general, enterprise creation and entrepreneurship is somehow, I think, is in our genes. People, I mean, most of us like to do something on our own. If you talk to 80% of, 80% of the young people today will say, I want to do something on my own. So there is that spirit of entrepreneurship which is there. So if we put all these things together, we said that what can we do? And this was a long time back when we thought about this. So we said we should create a set of what we call primary vision care providers, and then help them to set up their enterprises. So what we do actually, what we started doing in a very small scale 10 years back, has now become quite big. We simply go into the villages, mobilize youth and young people, both men and women, and bring them to a training center. We train them to become primary vision care providers. This training could last anything from 60 to 90 days. And then after that, we help them to go back to their own villages and we give them a small grant to set up a micro enterprise, which is called an iMitra optician, which actually serves as the access point for that village. So what it does is that you have the son of the soil who has gone and got himself trained and come back to his village and open the shop. So he has familiarity with the surroundings, so there's a lot of credibility. He's able to provide access to the people and he gets a living out of it by selling these products and doing refractions, etc. Then you have the people of the village, etc., who have access within an hour's travel. Because that's also a big issue in India, because anything more than 1 hour of travel is going to be difficult for them to go and get eyes tested, because most of them live on daily wages. So there is that thing which is there. And for us, also, from a business standpoint, it does create a last mile connectivity. And it's something which we're investing for the future, because as the villages and countries become more economically, they start flourishing. So obviously there will be more wealth in those areas, and then you already have an access point, and we create new consumers for the future. So in terms of long-term sustainable growth for the company over the next 10, 15 years, we are really sowing the seeds for long-term development. So in a way, I think there is a kind of a business case which is a win-win for everybody. And I think that's where I think business finding a solution is important. There's a win for the entrepreneur, for the consumers in the village, and as well as for us. And so this is how we started the iMitra journey. And now we have, I'm proud to say, I have the largest rural optical network in the world today.
Okay. Just give us a sense of the scale, Jay.
So in India, we have, I think, close to about 8,000 iMitras in about 14 states. And then, of course, this model has been replicated now in Bangladesh, where we call them iMitro in Bengali. And we have in all over the state in Bangladesh. We've started in Kenya, which is called iRafiki. And then in Indonesia, it's Mitramata, in China as well. So India was the place where the idea was germinated, scaled, and then now we are rolling it out all over the world.
And what challenges have these entrepreneurs have had to face in the context of COVID? What feedback are you getting on the ground?
Yeah, like everyone, it has taken us completely, it's been a big shock for the entrepreneurs and for all of us. So for the couple of months, the last 2 months, most of them have been closed. The problem also is that many of them are just budding entrepreneurs coming from the villages, so they don't have that much of financial stability because they depend on the income coming from the shops to survive and to thrive. So they are suffering. We just did a survey with all of them to see how they were faring. I think about 20% of them are really, really on the borderline. They're very vulnerable today. It's an existential situation for them in terms of what will happen to them. So that's one problem which is there, and of course it has slowed down our expansion because in terms of creating more iMitras, which we would have tried to do because we want to expand the operation. So it's been a challenging time, and I hope we all come out of it stronger and better.
Okay. So I think the scale you achieved in a short span of time is staggering, and this is a real example of combining for good with a business purpose, as well as taking care of one of the critical senses all of us have. So it's an amazing story, and we really look forward, Jayanth, to see how we can work together at GAME, as well as I think plenty of our alliance partners, right, are clearly would be keen to engage because I guess one of the things you talked about, I think, is how do you create entrepreneurship on the ground, right? And as you know, one of the things we are seeing a lot of in the current context is reverse migration, right? A lot of people are now going back to where they came from, right? And clearly there would be an opportunity for spurring more entrepreneurship, which gives people stable businesses, stable incomes, help them create additional jobs, as well as obviously making sure your vision of making sure people have good vision is taken care of, right? So look forward to a deeper conversation about how we can work together. It's been a pleasure talking to you. Thank you for taking the time, and look forward to deeper conversations in the times to come.
Thank you very much, Srinivas. It's really good. And if I can just take 1 minute, I just want to use your platform to kind of give a call for action, because you guys are the ones who are putting together so many different companies together. And I think as we try to address entrepreneurship and reaching out at the base of the pyramid, I really think the thing of partnerships is great. And personally from my side, I'm willing to open up all our knowledge and all our network to anyone who's interested in collaborating and working with us. With the 10,000 now, 8,000 iMitras that we have got, we're willing to open up those networks to anyone else who may want to use it, because I think it's a cost of creating an entrepreneur is one thing, and then driving that asset to actually leverage much more to bring benefit for public good would be great. So it's just that I'm so happy to talk to you, and through your platform and through your powerful connections, hoping to create much more powerful partnerships and coalitions. Thank you for that.
Thank you very much, Jayanth. It's been a pleasure, and look forward to working together.
Perfect. Thank you.